Welcome to the Expressoul Health and Wellness Podcast. In each episode, you'll learn from experts about the best practices and technologies to live a happier, healthier, and hopefully a longer life. Here is your host, Claudia Erdenola.
Hello, welcome to Expressoul Health and Wellness Podcast. In today's episode, yes, I am here with Aria. She's my baby. She's a 5-year-old Boykin Spaniel and is part of my family. Today, I'm going to be talking about the dog's companion and the multiple benefits that these beautiful beings bring to our lives. We're going to talk about how dogs impact health and wellness in many ways for humanity. And this is episode 1. We are going to talk about how dogs impact health and wellness in many ways for humans. Also, this episode is part 1 of 2-part episode of Expressoul Health and Wellness Podcast. In part 1, we're going to discuss with David Botero how our furry friends, dogs, impact our health and well-being in so many ways, physically, mentally, and emotionally. We're also producing this first part in Spanish with Natalia Ospina, David's wife. In part 2 of this episode, I am going to the U.S. Air Force facility at the Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas, where they train all military working dogs. Bruce, my husband, as you know, is a veteran for the Air Force, also a canine trainer. And he will be telling us all about how these hero dogs provide a valuable service to our armed forces who serve around the world, also for the active duty handlers and trainers, and the veterans of the military forces who have post-traumatic syndromes to help them in their rehabilitation. Yes, this is an episode that you please stay tuned to the end because it's beautiful and you're going to learn a lot about dogs. So here with us, David Botero. If you like the content of our podcast, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button. Help us to spread the word on health and wellness. Also, check out our sponsors as we have great discounts for our listeners. And follow us in our social media outlets. We really appreciate your support. Thank you. So, David, welcome to Expressoul Health and Wellness Podcast. I already introduced you. I already told our audience who you are. And now we would like to know, in your expertise, to tell us a little bit about yourself, about the organizations that you belong to, and all of this work, amazing work that you're doing with the dogs for physical, mental, and emotional support for humans.
No, thank you, Claudia. Thank you for having me on this podcast, on this show. And we're always passionate about what we do. We're always passionate first about God, but we're passionate that God gave us these amazing creatures, or this amazing creation that are pets, that are dogs. And part of what we do with my wife is that the first thing we do is we talk about this love, this this special bond that God gave us with these dogs to really show us His love through that creation. Because a lot of the times, it's kind of hard, experimenting or knowing about or seeing an invisible love. But God is good, and He gave us these little guys, these little dogs, or big dogs, to show us a unconditional visible love, so that we can understand an unconditional invisible love that God gives us. So part of what we do is talk about that. We have a digital ministry organization that really allows us to show this love through these dogs. And then, once we're able to do that, we have partnered with and we're members of this amazing organization called Canines for Christ. And it's a Christian dog animal assisted therapy ministry, international and national, all over the U.S. and in some parts, other parts of the world, where basically we just it's just ordinary people and their dogs that God uses to bring love, hope, and compassion to the community. So it's an organization that really brings together members, brings together people who are passionate about dogs and the benefits and blessings that dogs can have on people in the community, and just allows these members to be, God's hands and feet all around the community that they live with, day in and day out, and just bring this hope and compassion to them, whether that be going to hospitals, cancer centers, places of crisis or trauma. We really go in, and basically what we do is develop the ministry of presence. A lot of times, they say just being there can for someone in a time of crisis can be a lot more powerful than any words you can express. And what a dog does basically is open up that door with the ministry of presence, just being there. Whoever has, these one of these dogs or one of these blessings, God's blessings in their home, they know that just the fact of being right there where you are, it speaks 1,000 words in terms of giving you peace, giving you companionship. I actually have one of our little girls right here.
Yes, please. So, please introduce us with your little one.
Yes, this is Alana. She's
hey, Alana.
She's the star of the house. So, Alana over here, she doesn't need any words. She just needs kisses and just presence and companionship to really just, bring peace, bring hope. And when you see these little ones with you, you understand that God created them for a purpose. And that purpose is just to be that ministry of presence around us. So, that's what the organization is about. Great organization founded by Larry Randolph in 2007 with over 1,000 members all over the world, really just sharing God's hope and compassion and love through these furry little guys and girls.
So for someone who want to have the service from the Canines for Christ, they had a family member that may need it, know of someone that is in a hospital, know an elderly person that may benefit for the presence of your dogs, all what they have to do is to contact someone for the organization and coordinate a visit is how it works?
Basically, each member, once they're members of Canines for Christ, the visits can be as organizational or as personal as each member can wants to make it. I could go with my dog to my brother's home when he's going through a tough situation and just be that person that goes with my dog to bring that hope, to bring that love, just to bring that presence in that situation and be there. And then the dog opens a door for me to just speak hope, speak life into their lives. Or I could make it as organizational as, many members were in Uvalde, Texas, when, all that situation occurred and they were mobilized, a bunch of the members mobilized over to Uvalde, Texas, and just was there as an organization. Right. So, I mean, it's as small or as big as each member, how each member wants to participate. But when I say as small, I don't mean as small as an impact, but as small as in you have everything you need with your dog and your the equipping that the ministry gives you to be a blessing to that person or organization that you go to serve.
This is wonderful. This is part of what we do here in this podcast, David. We are all about prevention of disease, but also we want to bring information to people that may don't know of all of the benefits right now, talking to you about the physical and mental and emotional support and benefits that having a dog at home can bring to someone. And what your organization does is amazing. I want to learn a little bit more about, and we want to go on each of these topics, because I want my audience to really get these amazing benefits from you, to know about the dogs in our lives, how they support us, and how, I mean, I was reading some stats this morning. They were amazing, and they were saying that there is about 89 million families and individuals in this country, along in the United States, that have dogs, that own dogs. And that is wonderful. It's a huge community of people already receiving the benefits, but some others, for many circumstances. I mean, you're talking about maybe nursing homes, maybe kids that have to be for long terms in cancer hospitals, or regular hospitals for different health conditions. People that are going to a struggle after the loss of someone significant in their lives. So many situations can we go on and on and on that a dog can support that specific person. So tell us a little bit about what are the benefits of a dog for mental health. Let's start that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing you said is for people who aren't good with percentages, basically it's 2 out of every 3 homes has a dog. So I mean, that's a pretty big deal, and you could have the solution to a lot of your health problems with that furry little creation of God that's in your home, and the people that don't have it in their home, but you always see
Or
it as,
big, because some people like the big dogs too.
Yeah, or the big ones, right? That's right. So, and the people that don't have a dog, it's saying, okay, yeah, there are some responsibilities clearly, but the benefits outweigh immensely the responsibilities. And we're ones that think that health is an integral thing. We belong to a healthcare plan, which is faith-based as well, that they talk about health being not only taking care of yourself, but taking care of one another, taking care of your mind, taking care of your spirit, taking care of your body. So, a lot of people just associate health with, medicine and, doctors, but it's a lot more than that. And when you say, it starts with mental health, because I think the battle we all have is first in our heads. And when we are able to reduce stress, when we're able to reduce anxiety, a lot of those things are going to be what's going to allow us to prevent a lot of the things before it happens, and not have a reactive approach to health, but a proactive approach to health. So, there's studies that have been published that say that the pet owners who interacted with their pets on a consistent level, they were actually experienced a decrease in a hormone, in cortisol levels, which is a hormone that is associated with stress. So just sharing time with one of these dogs, in the practical sense, you might have problems, you might have stress, but if you just go out and go for a walk, or go in the grass and just kind of hang out and be with your dog, you can see that those cortisol levels, or that stress, putting it practically, it starts decreasing. That anxiety starts decreasing. So because the anxiety and the stress is replaced with companionship, is replaced with comfort, it's replaced with being not feeling alone, or not feeling overwhelmed, and it starts improving your overall mood. I think that's why a lot of businesses are actually becoming pet friendly, in the sense that they see that when the people are allowed to bring their pets into the workplace, it reduces the stress
into the airplanes, traveling with the dogs.
Yes, my wife and I, we tend to bring, at least this little one, Alana, we tend to bring her everywhere, and it just,
me
even
too.
if you're in
I travel with Aria. I traveled with Aria too,
Yeah,
my dog.
yeah.
And
So
since
whatever.
she was like 10 weeks old, she learned how to get into the airplane. She knows how to hold her pee-pee. I mean, she's so disciplined, but we trained her since she was very little because for us, she's a member of our family.
Yeah,
And she came to our lives to support my husband's stress. I by that time I re-engaged my profession as an engineer and going to office 8 to 5. Back then it was very hard for Bruce because I used to work at the farm before. We were all the time together, so for him not to see me 8 to 5, it was difficult. And Arya came as a blessing because he started, okay, I cannot stay in a house all day. I need to take her for a walk. I need to teach her how to get potty trained. I need to, so he started getting out, and he met all the neighbors. He started walking, enjoying more the sun. It was a very period of time where he was a little depressed because our routine changed. I wasn't home, but Arya came and totally changed that, and she's part of our family. We travel with her like you guys travel with Alana. I know you have more dogs, correct?
yeah. So actually, we have a 15-year-old, a Yorkie as well. His name is Mello. I don't know if I'm gonna tell my wife to see if you can bring him over, but that is an amazing story because when you spoke about your husband and depression, my wife actually, when she was single, when she was younger, she battled with episodes of really chronic or severe depression, and she tried all the different avenues, but at the end, what God used to take her out of depression and maintain her out of these depressive episodes is this little one right here, that you see. This is Mello.
That's Hey Mello, how are you?
Mello, he's 15 years old, and he is. This is the dog that God used to bring my wife out of depression, to bring my wife out of discouragement.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and just with companionship, because if you see, I mean, he can't give her advice. He
It's
can't.
so cute. And now it's something else about the dogs, David. And I think for people that are battling with mental issues such as stress, anxiety, depression, which is mental and emotional. But what happened is like at some point it gets the world of that specific individual gets very self-centered. They are too into themselves, depressed, stressed, thinking over and over. But when they have a companion dog, they have a pet, they have to take care of the pet. They have to go and feed it. The little one start getting jumpy, or the big one needs a come and punch. He wants to play. He wants to get your attention. So it's in that moment where I think it helps tremendously for the people that are suffering and battling with these mental disorders, mental conditions, to have a pet, because then what was all about themselves and getting sad and depressed and not seeing the light and the beauty of life, all of the sudden they see this companion creature that is there just to bring joy, and then everything starts changing.
Yeah, I think what you said about selfishness is that when you start looking too much towards yourself and what you need and what you lack, that brings in, discouragement, depression, because I need. But when one of these guys comes along, it's like I can't think of myself because there's someone that depends on me. And once I realize that they depend on me, then I have to take care of them. Then I have to get up and do something about it. I have to feed them. I have to bathe them, take them out. So I have to take myself out of that depressive state, of that discouraged state, to be, not because I want, maybe not even because I want to, maybe not even because I feel the need, but I have to take care of this God's creation that God kind of gave me as a responsibility and as a blessing. So God uses these dogs to take you out of this depressive or discouraged state that otherwise would be tougher for you to get out of. So yeah, I completely agree.
And it's something else that when you bring a pet to live with you, it's kind of like you invite him to live with you. So it's a responsibility. These are beautiful creatures that need care. They cannot go and feed themselves. They cannot open the fridge and grab something to eat. They cannot open the faucet and get some water on the bowl. They need to be fed. They need to be, take care of. So that is when I think is one of the main benefits happen, because it's kind of like producing this need for emotion from that person that is taking care of that pet. It has to get out of the couch, go and feed him. It needs to move and to take him out to for do his physical necessities outside on a patio to get a walk. So I think it's a wonderful thing that we can enjoy our dogs. And I was actually the other day, we saw a program on TV, and I don't remember where it was, but they got this testimonial of somebody. It was a man, I think it was somewhere in Wisconsin, somewhere there. Anyway, he was probably between 50 and 60 years old. He lost his wife. She battled with cancer, lost his wife, and he get very depressed, very, very, very much in depression. And someday somebody asked him, you're doing all of these medications, it's not helping you, you're not sleeping well, you're totally, you're not improving through the medications that the doctors gave you. Why you don't try something different? And then he stopped. No, no, no. Don't tell me about exercising or going on a trip. I don't want to do anything. I'm too depressed. Say, no, 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 no. Why you don't go to the shelter that is nearby? Just stop by. You don't listen. Open your mind. You're just gonna go and see if is there a dog, but you may say, dogs are responsibility. I'm too busy, too sad, whatever. Anyway, in one of those crises, he said he stopped by the shelter, and he went there, and as he started walking like through the corridor and seeing the dogs side by side, it was one dog that called his attention because it was in a way that he was looking at him. He said that he was looking not at him but through him, like looking, like really looking to him. And he felt like he couldn't leave that place without that dog. So he took the dog home. And what happened after was very remarkable, because this person was not only um, basically totally dependent of these medications for stress, depression. I mean, these are very commonly prescribed by the doctors. And then he was also overweight because he didn't want to move, leave the house, see the sunlight. He said this dog, he said it was a kind of a boxer mix, whatever, very active dog. And he started feeling that the dog needed to go out. So, okay, I need to take the dog for a walk. He said it was short walks. And then little by little, he started seeing that the dog liked to run. Like he was kind of teasing him. Like he was walking and then running a little. And then he has to run to catch up with the dog. And then he was running a little more. And this dog likes to run. So he bought a pair of shoes, sneakers, and started running with the dog. Soon enough, he started losing weight. He started spending more time outdoors. He started planning his work and the running time with the dog. He said, this dog saved my life. It transformed me from where I was to what I am today. He totally get out of the medications. He totally get active and start competing, in 5Ks and 10Ks for charity events. He's like, this is another me. I never thought I was going to do these physical activities. It's not because of my dog. He actually cried during the interview because he was so much being grateful to this blessing on his life. So like him, so many, David. I know you have probably hundreds of stories of people that like this person I described went through transformational situations by having a companion dog. Tell us a little about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing just because the fact that the dog is gonna want to play, and the dog is gonna want to spend time and bite and do this, and they don't receive no for an answer. It's like, no, I'm not asking you to play with me. I'm telling you to play with me.
Yes.
And what that does on a chemical level is that that play and that kind of I have to get up and play starts producing I think it's serotonin or dopamine, which are like neurotransmitters that start regulating the mood, and they start lifting you up
This is
from
fascinating.
this depressive state. And when we started sharing this on social media, because part of our ministry we have it's Davalia Pets, where we share testimonies and what God has done through these dogs in our lives, but also in lives of others. The stories that we hear of dogs lifting people up from when their family member died, when they lost their baby, had a miscarriage, when they different traumas that they had lived through, that the only way that they were able to get up, or the only way that they saw God in all of this, is their dog understanding their state, understanding their mood, understanding what they were going through, and bringing what they needed for that moment. Because sometimes they need play, but sometimes they just need to sit down next to us, and it's a way of God saying, I'm here, you're going to be okay. Even if you don't want to get up, so they have this ability to sense, what the mood and what's going on in our lives, and kind of be that complement or that solution that God brings through them to either give us presence, give us activity, or give us companionship based on what we need. It's amazing, the stories that you hear. It's just once you see that, you said that if that's not God working through its creation, I don't know what is.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I want to read something that I got here. It says that according to a study published in the Journal of Applied Development Psychology, children who own a dog were more likely to engage in social behaviors such as introducing themselves, asking to join, and sharing with others. Additionally, dogs can serve as a conversation starter and help individuals to connect with others. I know you have two beautiful daughters. Tell us a little bit about their interaction with the dogs.
Well, actually, we just mentioned something. So before that, I wanted to mention that if it wasn't for this guy, I wouldn't be married. Because
tell us about it.
our first, I guess, date, if you want to say, was based around that. My wife usually would probably say, "No, are you asking me out?" No, of course not. But when the plan was, hey, I have a dog. Why don't we meet at the park and have the dogs meet each other? It was a different answer. It was, oh, okay, yeah. It's kind of like, you have a dog, I have a dog. That means we kind of have the same heart. So okay, now I can trust you a little more. And our first dates were at the park with at that point, Mello was her dog, and I had I remember it was a dog at my mom's house, and that was a way for us to connect. And through the dog, I remember I don't know if my wife has it, but there's a picture of us like on our first date where we're holding hands, and you see in the picture the hand of the dog is like right on top of that. So definitely my wife, you see her on social media, but she's really reserved. She's not as social as you might seem. So definitely what you talk about, the social skills or people willing to, I guess, socialize more when it has to do with the dog. I lived it, so I know it's completely true. But also with our girls, and recently we actually had an experience of we're foster parents as well. So with our girls, we have seen how they have learned responsibility, how they have learned to socialize through play with the dogs, how they've learned self-esteem. Because one thing that these dogs do is that to them, through their actions, they say, you are the best human being that exists in the whole wide world. So, the way they act, the way they kind of say hi to you when you come in, it lifts up a child's self-esteem and adult self-esteem as well. But when we brought this child in foster care, that kind of trauma of, what's going on, where am I? It was quickly around the dog. It quickly like subsided. You saw the dog, not this one or the other one, but actually Tabitha, which is our like 50-pound dog we adopted. You see her just approaching him and kind of licking him, and he would kind of get close and start saying, "Hey, even these animals love me. This is the unconditional love." And he starts adapting because these dogs are so inviting and saying, "Oh wow, this is a child. I want to give him that security. I want to give him that companionship, that self-esteem to say everything's going to be okay."
This is incredible. And again, I know a lot of people can sympathize with the subject that we're talking, and the ones that don't have a dog, I want them to get like excited about maybe owning one, bringing one home. Even for each individual, I think it's a different experience and different kind of benefit, depends on what the need is. And it's only for companionship, so wonderful. But if it's for emotional support, wonderful. If it's for mental or for physical. And actually, in terms of the physical improvements that dogs can bring. Go ahead.
Claudia, I want to mention with children, in case someone doesn't have a dog and they have children and they're really worried about allergies for their children, there's actually a study that says that the children who have dogs in their home are 3 times less likely to develop allergies than those who have a dog in their home. And we've lived that. Our girls have no allergies. They've been exposed to dogs from birth. Literally, they came to our home from the hospital and the dog just started licking him and doing everything. And
you know what? I love that you mentioned that. And actually, I interviewed a doctor here in my podcast just last week, and Dr. John Harvey Gaviria, and he was talking about exactly that his expertise is in the microbiome, and he was saying that the kids that grow up with pets, and especially with dogs, that they're so engaging and playful, and they can roll up with them and they lick their faces, and they all of that contributes in ways that parents don't even know to enrich the microbiome. And by doing that, they gonna have a lot better immune system. And that is not only to be obviously allergy resistant, is also so many viruses and so many other threats through the human health that a kid can have. But if they have the pets, their bodies are much better equipped to fight those, and even to don't get allergies. So it's so on point that what you said. And again, it's just wonderful that they grew up and learning that responsibility, what you just shared with your daughters. It's just beautiful.
Yeah,
But let's talk
empathy
about
as well.
Yes, I know.
The empathy is really key here too, because we have taught our daughters from the start, you got to treat the dogs with respect. They're living creatures. They're God's creation. You need to be loving. You need to be tender. And you think you're teaching them just to treat dogs, but really God is using those dogs when you're teaching them that, so that they be more empathetic, not only with dogs, but with people. So you see my daughters, they have a really empathetic heart towards people, towards other children, towards situations, that really goes to them learning how to act or treat a creature that depends on you. That if you were to you could do him harm. They're defenseless in that sense, but you choose not to. You choose to be empathetic. You choose to be loving, and that translates over to how they're going to live their life. So to me, I've seen it, in so many ways. It's impressive. It's amazing.
Also, you that have children, I don't, but you can tell our audience that by the kids playing with the dogs, they burn a huge amount of energy, which is very good.
Yeah. And that again, that reduces, I think, just playing with the dogs, you and your children, they reduce stress levels in them because of burning energy, but it also, I think it reduces stress levels in us as parents, because if we don't do that, we could bring it out on our children. So it's, the physical activity of it. Obviously, apart from what you mentioned, like your husband saying, okay, if I have a dog, I have to take them out. I have to go walking. So it's, I think there's a stat that says that, people with dogs, if I'm not mistaken, I think they walk, I think it's like 300 minutes per week compared to I think almost half that. I think it's like 168 or something like that minutes that non-dog owners walk. So just in terms of steps, per week, and in terms of how that affects your heart, I mean, that's just, it's a given.
And again, I mean, on my example with my husband, he has been so active and engaging and workout all his life. But it was those few months that when I went to work to an office, I don't do that anymore. I work from home since COVID. But back then, that change of the routine by him not seeing me at home, it really affected him. And Arya totally, when she came to our lives, totally changed that. So when he went back to be himself, very quickly. And then meeting the neighbors was another benefit. It was great. It was awesome. So that in the physical activity, actually, I think the people that own dogs definitely are prompt to get more engaged on activity. Even they don't have to go to a dog park, but just only by walking the dog, even inside of the house. Where are you? I can see you. They walk around the house. Is extra activity that the one that they would have if they don't have the dogs. So that physical aspect is very, very important. So, David, in the ministry that you guys are part of with the dogs, what are the emotional implications for somebody that receive the visit of the dogs when you bring them to them?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're doing emotional support therapy, and but emotional support therapy, it deals with the emotional part. But if you really want it to be a lasting support therapy, this is where the organization brings in the spiritual part as well. So obviously, we come in. And we do animal assisted therapy for fears, disorders, traumas, or just physical activity, or just to lean in on these dogs to give them peace in moment of trauma, fear. It allows them to kind of regulate, and without having to speak. Because a lot of the times when you're dealing with trauma, when you're dealing with situations, it's kind of, anything that is said to you can be something that can have the completely opposite effect, even if it means well. So sometimes you say, I don't want you to give me advice. I don't want you to do anything. I just, and a lot of the times it's just what you need to do in those situations is just be with that person. So that's like the dog's specialty, the vehicle for the dog to enter into this assistance in the therapy is saying, here is a dog that just wants to be with you and play with you. He's not asking you, to not giving you advice. He's not trying to figure out and solve your problem. He just wants to be a companion within. And I think in the Bible somewhere, God says, there's a time to laugh and a time to cry, and it also says that when someone is crying, you cry with them. When someone is laughing, you laugh with them. And part of doing that in a dog sense is I'm just here. If you're sad, I'm going to be here with you while you're sad, and I'm going to give you that relief of saying, hey, there's someone that's here with me that's not going to judge me, that's not going to try to solve my problem, that just wants to be there with me. So the members, basically what they do is they're there with them. They give them what they need through this dog that they can trust. And then when the time is right, or if it is right, then they speak life into that person. They're not trying to solve their problems. They're not trying to give them advice. They're just trying to say, you know what, God is here. God loves you. And even in the midst of this situation, he's going to work everything out for the good of all who love him. So it's a way that
You
they can
mentioned
see.
trust. Trust is something big because a lot of people that suffer these emotional traumas, whatever they are, they don't trust. They have a very hard time trusting in others. They became more centered on themselves because and secluded. They feel vulnerable where they are trusting somebody else. Is like giving up some of that uh, power. Let's say is that control. It feels terrifying. But when they are with a dog, when someone is with a dog and you trust your dog, you totally know that that fairy creature is listening at what even I found myself sometimes talking to Aria, like I'm talking to a friend, and she looks at me with those eyes, like eye to eye. I really don't know if she understands what I'm saying, but she's paying attention. And that is big. That I trust her. I know she's not giving me an answer like a human would do, but she is giving me an answer by listening because sometimes it's only listening is all we need, you know.
Yeah, well, part of what we do as in our content, when we talk about the love of God through these dogs, is that we say, most of the times pet owners, they say the more there's this saying, it's the more I know people, the more I love my dog. So that's the trust factor that you're talking about. But what we try to say is now that your trust is off of the person, and now that your trust is in God's creation with this unconditional love of the dog that you trust because it gives you unconditional love, that's just a speck of the unconditional love of God. So now that now that you've removed your trust from the person and put it on the dog, now I want you to know the heart of the creator of this dog, because that heart and that spirit is in this dog. So if you get this little speck of that, imagine what you can experiment, because that's God's unconditional love. So that's what we try to kind of guide them through that process to say, that says, there is a God that doesn't judge you. There is a God that forgives you. There is a God that is there unconditionally for you. And the only way that you're going to be able to see it visibly, to understand it invisibly, is through your best friend, through your dog.
Wow. Now I this is I have tears in my eyes. I just think it's so much that we don't realize how much is the love that we receive from God's creation, and that is very true. I used to
Yeah, I
live
don't
in
know
a
if you can
farm
see this shirt
years
here, but it
ago.
says the shirt
Dog.
here, it says dog God, because basically what we want is the love, unconditional love of our dog to take us to the unconditional love of God. So it's like dog
It's
to
so
God.
beautiful and it's so true. When I live on my farm, I live, surrounded by animals, and I at some point I kind of like enjoyed more the company of my animals than the people, and I started understanding what they were talking in a sense that obviously I nor like I understand the conversations between the cows of the chickens, but I knew they were communicating. They were talking about what's happening, and they were so loving because they see me for who I was. No judgment. It was just love, love. So I think what you just said was so profound and so pretty. And I want to bring something up here, because maybe when we get to understand better the nature of the dogs, we can understand what they can do for us. And this is for my audience to know, part one of a 2 episode podcast. We're gonna be actually on Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. In about a month from now, we're gonna do a podcast with the service dogs that are trained and in Lackland base, because they are the service dogs for the military forces. But also we're gonna see the love, the beauty of these hero dogs and the service that they provide, not only for the military forces but also from the handlers, from the people who train them. for the emotional support that they bring to for those veterans that have post-traumatic syndrome, that they're suffering from the unthinkable that they saw during war. So we're gonna go very deep into what our dogs can do for us and for those humans that are broken, that are heartbroken. And as you say, this is the love of God coming through them, teaching them that they are whole, that they are beloved, that there's a lot more to live for. So
That's going to
it's,
be
it's gonna be
amazing.
phenomenal. It
I
is. It is
I
gonna
had the
be phenomenal.
opportunity. I had the opportunity to speak with your husband about it, and
Yes.
that was just mind blowing. The connection, not just how they serve, obviously in the military, because that's just amazing in itself, but the connection and the bond and what these dogs were willing to do for their handlers. Wow! I just said, I wish we could all be willing to do the same thing for our handlers. Our handler is God, right? So I wish we could have that passion, that bond, and that unconditional love toward our handler, toward our God. That these dogs, that when your husband told me about how they would, and I don't want to spoil anything because that's going to be an amazing podcast.
No, but it's gonna be, Bruce
But
is a
wow,
canine trainer. He was for the Air Force, so he had to go through the entire program of training these dogs and learning so much from how they behave, how they think, how they feel. And he's gonna be amazing because we gonna see them in action, and we're gonna be interviewing veterans that know of the beauty and the love and the companionship of these dogs when they have post-traumatic syndromes. And again, it's just story after story is just beautiful to see what these amazing animals can do for them. And they're gonna be able to risk their lives. So that's an unconditional love for them, and they know it. And it's just we're gonna have a terrific time there, and I want the people to stay tuned because that's coming, and that is something that I want to bring to your attention, and I gonna keep you updated on that. Now, David, I also know that the dogs provide tremendous service on kids that have mental disabilities such as autism and cerebral paralysis, brain paralysis. So we understand that the dogs help to socialize and get through those very challenging situations for the small ones, for kids. Can you tell us a little bit more about that in your experience? Do you guys service with your dogs to individuals with mental discapacities, in kids
yeah, well,
especially?
we haven't had the opportunity to do that yet, but I do know that just from talking with the people in Canines for Christ and the board and all the founders and everything, that what they've seen has been amazing, because it's two components. I think it's one of them is obviously the reduction of anxiety, the reduction of stress that can be the catalysts, to affect the social skills. And I know there's some studies in this same I think it's a journal of pediatric nursing that talks about how these dogs can reduce the stress levels and help with the social skills. But also there's a service animal component to that, where they can in certain situations be that help to assist in those day-to-day activities, to be able to kind of work through that condition and that diagnosis. I know they use horses as well, but obviously, it's not as easy to bring do with a horse than with a dog. But yeah, I mean the benefits and the results that you see in I guess just treating and helping treat these situations are incredible. And obviously, when you add, what God can do, then it's like recipe for success, for explosion. So.
Is Canine for Christ a nationwide organization, or they are only on few locations in the States?
Yeah, no, it's a nationwide organization. It's actually they're actually in other cities. I mean, other countries as well, in some other countries as well. But it is a nationwide organization, and what's beautiful about it is that basically the only thing holding back Canines for Christ from going to where you are is basically you saying, "Hey, I want to be a member." It doesn't, Canines for Christ doesn't have to be where you are. Wherever you are and are willing to serve, that's where Canines for Christ is going to be. So,
Beautiful.
At the end of the day, that's what's beautiful about this organization, that it's a collective thing, but it's an individual calling and service as well. So yeah, it's wherever they can be, they're going to be.
Okay, for all our listeners, we're going to have the information for Canines for Christ, as well as David and Natalia, his wife, and all of the social media, so you can follow them and know better of the wonderful work that they are doing this ministry through the dogs and serving others through the love of God in these beautiful animals that we love so much. So, David, is something else you want to share with us before we say goodbye?
Oh, no, I just want to thank you for listening. We love, whenever we can share about what God can do through our dogs, through our pets. It's amazing. It's a blessing. And to all those who don't have a pets, we're on a mission. We're on a mission to say, open your homes to these dogs, to these pets, and you're going to see that with responsibility comes great blessing. Your heart's going to be transformed, and God's going to use that to do some really amazing things in your home and your children, in your marriage and your family. And so yeah, I mean, thank you, Claudia, for having us here.
Thank you, David. And again, stay tuned for part 2. I want you also to see that episode in Lagland. Air Force Base in San Antonio is coming soon, and it's going to be very nice. We're very much looking forward to learn more about that aspect of the dogs on the service for the military forces, as well as supporting our veterans during the troubling times and mental, battles that they suffer after seeing and living the unthinkable overseas during war. So thank you very much. Today, we had a tremendous conversation with you, and I know this is just the beginning, because I want you, my listeners, to comment below. I would like to know your experiences with your dogs. I would like to tell us if you know of someone that have a transformational story. We would love to hear from you and from your experiences with your beloved dogs. Thank you so much, David. If you enjoyed this episode with David Botero, when we talk about the dogs and the emotional support that they do for humans, the mental support, and all of the benefits for the body, mind, and soul, I want to invite you to join me on the second part of this series with dogs, where we are going to be at the Joint Base at Lagland in San Antonio, Texas, talking about the military working dog program. Because let's face it, we can be talking here about all of the protocols on nutrition, exercising, and all of those things, but health and wellness doesn't mean anything if we don't have safety and security. We're going to talk about the military working dogs and how these hero dogs provide safety and security for us. Also, that special bond that they have with their handlers and the sacrifices they made for you and me, for our security, and for the love and companion that they provide to the handlers and trainers. So if this is something that is of your interest, please stay tuned for the second part and subscribe to our podcast. Follow us in all of our social media channels. I really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening. And if you like the information that we shared with you today, please subscribe to the Expressoul Health and Wellness podcast. and follow us in the social media outlets of your choice. Until next time, please remember, health is wealth for the body, mind and soul.